the committee heading the Pan-African Congress, the organizers of this event, our guests, ladies and gentlemen. Hamjambo. Hamjambo. Or do we say Viva Africa?
Viva Africa.
Viva Kenya.
Viva Kenya.
Viva humanity.
Viva.
Now, I think in a moment like this is when we need to recognize and remember, in the spirit of the African culture, our foreign heroes and founding fathers of the Pan-African movement. And I would want to recognize all of them in general. This afternoon, one of our speakers mentioned 3 great African women. I know we know men. We can start with W.E. Du Bois, George Padmore from Trinidad. We can talk about Marcus Garvey from Trinidad, from Jamaica. We can recognize many more. Then we come to the continent with Kwame Nkrumah, with Julius Nyerere, Jomo Kenyatta, and others. But what we don't normally recognize, and that's what we are told this afternoon, are the great women who are also part of this Pan-African movement. The Queen Nzinga of Angola, Queen of Sheba from Ethiopia, Queen Yaa Asantewaa of Ghana, and among many others. So this is the day to recognize these heroes. Why don't we clap for them for what they have done for us? They have left to us a legacy. The subject of today, our guest of honor, is rekindling the spirit of Pan-Africanism in Kenya. And I know why the young men and women have this title. I have seen them struggle. I have seen them struggle. Simba, where are you? That young man, I don't know any other human being in all my life with the determination to get things done at the most difficult of circumstances. I really don't. So Simba, thank you for pulling this through. And when I say Simba, I'm saying Simba and his colleagues. They have always come to my place, and I have always been a shy mentor. I can't stand here and say I've been the best of the mentors for the Pan-African movement. I've been a shy mentor. Sometimes I'm not even available on phone. Sometimes I fear, what am I going to tell the young men? Because they have great ideas, but they don't have resources. So I'll be concluding with that. They are saying that because part of their greatest ambition has been to have a Kenyan chapter of the Pan-African Congress. Every other country in the world, Mr. Speaker, have their national congresses. We don't. Yet, we are the founding nation of Pan-Africanism. Why do I say so? Kenya, in essence, in history, and in our aspirations, is a Pan-African nation. Let me start by telling you a story that will shock you. I went to Chicago as a student doing my doctorate in the University of Chicago, Illinois, in Chicago. And I was invited by the team that was putting together the document that was to now become AGOA, that America, under President Bill Clinton, because that's when I went to the US. And it was the whole process, the intellectual process, was headed by a lady from Zambia called Munyagwa. And Munyagwa put together an evening of a meal, and people stayed together, sat together. I was fortunate to see it next to a very beautiful lady, very beautiful, an African-American lady. And as we were seated, we had to introduce, courtesy demanded that we introduce each other, possibly before we are introduced by everybody. And I told the lady, oh, how are you? Where are you from? She said, I'm from America. I'm an African American. And I told her, I'm from Kenya. My name is Peter Kagwanja. She told me, thank you. My name is Jomo Kenyatta. You can get the shock that I thought, what? Jomo Kenyatta. How is that? Jomo Kenyatta is the name of a male in my country. No, I know. But she told me that her father was a great admirer of Jomo Kenyatta. And he had sworn that when he gets a boy, he's going to name him Jomo Kenyatta. So when he went to the hospital, I think this is before the time of screening, when he went to the hospital, he found it was not a boy, it was a girl. Then he said, and Jomo Kenyatta it is. And from that day, the lady goes by the name Jomo Kenyatta. Google her up, you might find her. Mandela visited Kenya in 1991, immediately after his release. He spoke to us at Kasarani conference and said, where is Dedan Kimathi? I will not be here without him. And where is Kimathi's window? So that's what he asked, where is Kimathi's window? And he asked to be taken to Kimathi's window. I have read many more texts and letters about Kenya. Kenya is a great Pan-African, and great inspiration for the spirit of Pan-Africanism. In our region, I don't think there is any other country that has practiced Pan-Africanism like Kenya. In 1994, I would recall, we had two great leaders in East Africa. One was the vice president in the Republic of Kenya. The other, I think, was the prime minister in the office of the president in Uganda. I'm telling the story of their worries. You know it. And we're talking about simultaneously a brother who follows a brother, the same mother, the same father. One is the prime minister in Uganda, the other one is a vice president in the Republic of Kenya. So Kenya is a Pan-African nation. I would want to therefore say that today Kenya is the champion of Pan-Africanism as in modern times. Kenya is the African Peace and Security Council. As I speak, Kenya is the chair of the African Peace and Security Council of the African Union. Kenya is the African representative from the Anglophone side of Africa in the United Nations Security Council. And we have shared it, I think now once, we might share it again. And Kenya is the chair of the East African Community. Kenya is the leading nation in ECOWAS, and Kenya is a founding member and a leading nation in IGAD. We are present in everywhere Africans are gathering to make decisions about the continent. Why don't we have a Pan-African Congress? That is the big question. That is the gap that we need to fill. As we think about Pan-Africanism, let's think about Pan-Africanism as a dynamic process. It is very dynamic and it's ever-changing. When John Padmore talked about Pan-Africanism in the intellectual form, he described it as a trinity of nationalism, socialism, and Pan-Africanism. That's what made Pan-Africanism. That is George Padmore, the most intellectual thinker of Pan-Africanism after Bryden and Marcus Garvey. But then, after liberation, we have struggled with the Cold War. And by 1994, Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki tried to redefine Pan-Africanism. They replaced socialism with African Renaissance, which explains the economic turn in our Pan-African thinking. But I would request you to always think about Pan-Africanism as work in progress. It is not complete. Why? It all started with the debate between Kwame Nkrumah and Julius Nyerere. Kwame Nkrumah wrote the book, Africa Must Unite, and insisted very quite vehemently that Africa must unite or perish. And that is one of the crusades in our African leading. Julius Nyerere in his humble way went to Nkrumah and said, We cannot unite now into the United States of Africa. It is a dream that we must achieve, but it's impossible to achieve it now. Kwame, why don't we agree on a step-by-step unification of the continent? So, Nyerere became the father of regional economic blocks that we have today. His thought was, and still is, that we organize regionally, then unite, and then we have a United States of Africa. Gradual process to the unification. Muammar Gaddafi visited Nkrumah and insisted that Africa must unite now. So it's a debate we are still having. But in the meantime, we have the African Union in all its forms and processes that it is following as a union. I think, I would argue, it is one of the most effective regional blocs after the European Union. Only that Africa does not have the same power as the European Union in terms of the economy and the history of dominating the rest of the world. I think the main challenge we face today as Pan-Africanists, and that faces the Pan-African movement, is how to escape the new scramble for Africa, or simply put, how to turn the new scramble for Africa in the 21st century into a blessing and not a curse. Already, Africa is caught in what we are now calling the new Cold War between America and China, and we have to survive it and make good out of it. We are now talking about African Renaissance, but Africa must now develop or perish. We must industrialize, we must add value to our goods, we must enter the world market forcefully so that we can make a mark in the history. Our problem has not been lack of thinkers. It has not been lack of thoughts, but has been lack of resources to propel our ideas forward. We need resources, we need resources, we need resources. Finally, we need to steer Pan-Africanism through the turbulence of what we are calling the information age. And in the information age, we need to be powerful in navigating the websites, the cyberspace, and all the spaces we have in the computer-related technology. Why so? Because that's where battles are now being fought about ideologies and the dominant ideologies and so on. We must also revive our own instruments of communicating information to ourselves. And as I was preparing for this, I was reminded of one of our heroes, Pio Gama Pinto. In 1964, Pio Gama Pinto founded the Kenyan Pan-African movement. Wanted to establish a Pan-African university in Kasarani, which was caught up in the Cold War intrigues. But I think his greatest legacy, which we must revive, is his Pan-African newspaper. That was unfortunately very close to what tribalated us in the second liberation, which were Nairobi Manyara's Nairobi Romantic. I am a product as an intellectual of Nairobi Romantic. I might have been in the university doing my master's, but I would not have become what I am without Nairobi Romantic. Because Nairobi Romantic helped us concretize our ideas and share our ideas across generations. Today, as Pan-Africanists in Kenya, we need to revive Pio Gama Pinto's The Pan-African Journal, which stopped publishing in 1965 as a result of the Cold War. Finally, I would want to say this. We must encourage as many of our members as possible to get into politics. Okay? And we must not be shy. Politics is not a dirty game. It is the highest art of public management. It is Plato who told us that the penalty you pay for not participating in politics is that you will be governed by your inferiors. And as Pan-Africanists, you have your movement killed by those who don't understand what it is. So get into politics. So, the guest of honor today and myself have decided to go into politics, and we have decided to take a different path. People have an opinion about what we are doing and what we are not doing, but we have decided to take a different path. Can we have some disciplined politics, some guided politics with dignity, some politics that get us out of this mire that we find ourselves in, where we are cheering thieves and hanging saints? We must move away from that. So let us get our own into parliament and use them to rekindle Pan-Africanism. That is the strategy that we have. Let us get ourselves into national assemblies, county assemblies, and whether it's in Uganda, whether it is in Kenya and elsewhere, and let's rekindle the spirit of Pan-Africanism from below. Because from above, it is being killed by corporates, it is being killed by the kind of politics I've talked about, the charlatans, and sorry to use the word, idiots who have money but get into politics because of money. I would want to conclude by saying that this is our time. Let's give support to Comrade Simba, Your Excellency, when we have. The young man and the colleagues are struggling. They have been walking the corridors of power, I know, and have not gotten the commensurate support they need to get this going. I find themselves straying into embassies and holding conferences that are not necessarily useful to us, but they have to get the movement going. Somebody needs to honor this movement. It's our heritage from our founding fathers. Let's own it, let's support the young men and women to move us forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you.